Two spheres of different material, one with double the radius and 1/4 wall thickness of the other, are filled with ice. If the time taken for complete melting of ice in the larger sphere is 25 minutes and for smaller one is 16 minutes, the ratio of thermal conductivities of the materials of larger sphere to smaller sphere is to be calculated. The time taken for melting, Tm, would be equal to the amount of heat to be added in order to melt the material, ice in this case, divided by the rate of heat transfer across the walls of the spherical surface. This is equal to the mass of ice, which is equal to the density times the volume of the ice, multiplied by the latent heat of melting of the ice. Latent heat of melting is the amount of heat to be added to 1 kilogram of a solid to convert it into liquid. So this is the energy content of ice. This will be divided by the thermal conductivity Kc into the difference in temperature across the surface into the area of the surface As divided by the thickness of the wall. Let's not confuse the small t, which represents thickness, with Tm, which represents the time for melting. Some of these terms are constant in our case, for example density and the latent heat of melting, and the temperature difference can be assumed to be constant because nothing is said about it. Therefore we have the time of melting is proportional to the volume into the surface thickness divided by thermal conductivity into surface area. Now we are given that Tm1 by Tm2 is equal to 25 by 16, where 1 represents the largest sphere. So this becomes V1 T1 by Kc1 A1 into Kc2 A2 by V2 T2 is equal to 25 by 16. So V1 by V2 would be equal to R1 by R2 whole cubed into T1 by T2 into Kc2 by Kc1, and A2 by A1 could be represented as R2 by R1 whole square is equal to 25 by 16. So some of these terms can be cancelled, for example R1 by R2 and R2 by R1, which have different powers, and R1 by R2 is said to be 2, T1 by T2 is said to be 1 by 4, and Kc2 by Kc1 is to be calculated, or rather the inverse of Kc2 by Kc1 is to be calculated. So transposing the terms, we get Kc1 by Kc2 is equal to 8 by 25, and hence our answer is option D.